In the early months of 2020, a significant naval deployment by the United States turned the world's attention toward the warm waters of the southern Caribbean. A formidable flotilla of United States warships began navigating toward the coast of Venezuela, initiating one of the largest military operations in the region in recent memory. This powerful show of force was not a prelude to a declared war, but rather, according to the Trump administration, the front line of an intensified counter-narcotics mission. The stated objective was to interdict the flow of illegal drugs from South America. The operation marked a dramatic escalation in United States policy toward the region, immediately raising tensions and prompting a flurry of international reactions. The decision to send such a powerful naval contingent to the doorstep of a sovereign nation was both bold and controversial. The Caribbean Sea, a vital artery for global trade, was suddenly transformed into a stage for geopolitical maneuvering. The sight of advanced United States military hardware, including destroyers and amphibious vessels, surging south was a clear signal. The official justification provided by the White House and the Pentagon was direct and unambiguous. It was a major enhancement of the United States counter-narcotics mission. President Trump announced the United States was launching a robust operation aimed at stopping drug cartels exploiting the global pandemic to smuggle narcotics. This deployment was presented as a proactive measure to thwart those plans and send a powerful signal. American waters and international corridors would be vigorously defended against traffickers. The war on drugs wasn't new, but the scale of this operation set it apart. Officials described a multi-agency effort combining intelligence from the Drug Enforcement Administration with surveillance and interdiction capabilities of the Department of Defense. It was framed as a comprehensive strategy to dismantle maritime routes used by transnational criminal organizations. The geographical focus was the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean Sea, two primary corridors for cocaine trafficking from South America. The U.S. positioned a significant naval presence to create a formidable barrier, making trafficking far more difficult and risky. At the core of the United States operation was a series of grave accusations leveled directly at Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his inner circle. The Trump administration publicly and repeatedly accused Maduro of leading a narco-terrorist organization. United States officials alleged Maduro and high-ranking officials were conspiring with drug cartels, including dissidents from the FARC, to export cocaine to the United States. This was a significant escalation, moving beyond diplomatic condemnation to criminal indictment. The DOJ said the Maduro government had become a narco-state, using state institutions to facilitate drug shipments. The allegation showed a corrupt regime enriching itself amid economic collapse and popular discontent. These accusations were formalized. The DOJ unsealed indictments against Maduro and more than a dozen officials. The strategy aimed to isolate Maduro from regional allies and portray any defense of his government as defending a criminal enterprise, thereby justifying the military presence near Venezuela's coastline. The move blurred the lines between fighting crime and pursuing political objectives. The military force assembled for the counter-narcotics operation was substantial, representing a significant surge of United States power into the region. It involved a diverse array of naval assets and thousands of personnel. Reports indicated the U.S. Navy was surging at least 8 warships into the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. Among the ships deployed were several guided missile destroyers: USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, USS Sampson, Aegis-class destroyers equipped with sophisticated radar systems. The deployment also included an amphibious component, an amphibious squadron: USS San Antonio, USS Iwo Jima, USS Fort Lauderdale, carrying thousands of service members. Initial reports mentioned around 4,000 military personnel. Later details specified about 4,500, including 2,200 Marines. These ships are designed to transport and land troops, raising speculation about potential ground operations, even if the stated mission was maritime. Washington also dispatched a guided missile cruiser and a nuclear-powered fast attack submarine. This massive contingent and its hardware constituted a formidable force positioned strategically in Venezuela's backyard. Its presence would be felt by drug traffickers and the government in Caracas. Faced with a powerful United States naval fleet gathering near its territorial waters, the Venezuelan government under Nicolás Maduro responded with defiance and a show of military readiness. Caracas vehemently denied the United States accusations, casting them as a baseless pretext for an imperialist invasion. On Monday, the Venezuelan government announced it was sending 15,000 troops to its border with Colombia to fight drug trafficking. President Maduro called upon the country's civilian militia, the Bolivarian militia, promising a plan to activate millions of militiamen. This week, I will activate a special plan with more than 4.5 million militiamen to ensure coverage of the entire national territory. Militias that are prepared, activated, and armed. A strategy aimed at raising the potential cost of any military intervention. Venezuela also secured its coastline, deploying warships, missile systems, and surveillance drones to monitor the approaching squadron. A clear act of counter-surveillance and a symbolic assertion of maritime sovereignty. This created a tense standoff, both sides flexing military muscles in a dangerous display of brinkmanship. In a move that dramatically personalized the conflict and really escalated the pressure on Nicolás Maduro, the United States announced a massive financial reward for information leading to his arrest or conviction. Reports clarified the increase came from an initial $15 million or $25 million up to the final $50 million. The Trump administration doubled the reward to $50 million. Such money was meant to tempt even loyal followers to betray their leader and to sow discord within Venezuela's government and military. The move was tied to criminal charges filed against Maduro in the U.S., formalizing the confrontation. Venezuela called it desperate, illegal, modern-day piracy. Supporters saw it as an outrageous insult to sovereignty. For Washington, it was part of a maximum pressure campaign, a psychological weapon used alongside military hardware. Despite the Trump administration's clear messaging about fighting drug cartels, the operation was met with considerable skepticism, both within the United States and internationally. The long and hostile history between the United States and Venezuela's socialist government fueled suspicions that the ultimate goal was regime change. The sheer scale of the military force dispatched seemed disproportionate for chasing smugglers in small, fast boats. Amphibious assault ships, assets for landing forces on hostile shores, particularly fueled those fears. Critics pointed to prior rhetoric, hinting a military option wasn't off the table. Many viewed the action through the lens of past U.S. intervention in Latin America. They called it gunboat diplomacy. Some argued the war on drugs was a pretext for securing oil or removing an ideological adversary. Analysts questioned a military-heavy approach and argued durable solutions require addressing root causes: poverty, corruption, and strengthening institutions. Even if some shipments were seized, the operation would likely do little to dismantle production and distribution networks. The deployment of U.S. warships sent ripples of anxiety across Latin America. Governments were forced to navigate a delicate diplomatic path. Colombia, a key U.S. ally, welcomed increased pressure, while neighboring countries worried about regional spillover. Left-leaning governments quickly condemned the U.S. action. Others voiced solidarity with Venezuela. International organizations urged de-escalation and respect for international law. An armed confrontation could spark a wider regional crisis and exacerbate refugee flows. Millions had already fled Venezuela. A conflict would create further humanitarian strain. Many regional leaders quietly hoped for peaceful resolution, using diplomacy and back-channel negotiations. Allies like Cuba and Nicaragua condemned U.S. actions and offered diplomatic support to Caracas. The situation exposed deep political divisions across the hemisphere and forced nations to take positions, creating a tense diplomatic environment with a high risk of miscalculation. The 2020 naval showdown in the Caribbean ultimately concluded without a major military clash. The U.S. warships patrolled international waters for a period, conducting surveillance and interdiction operations. The deployment succeeded in disrupting some trafficking routes and increasing pressure on the Maduro government, but it did not lead to the collapse of the regime or the capture of its leader. The standoff eventually de-escalated, with the naval presence returning to more routine levels. However, the event left a lasting impact, setting a new precedent for the use of military assets in counter-narcotics and political pressure campaigns. Looking ahead, several potential paths emerged: escalation, stalemate, or a return to diplomacy. One possibility was continued escalation, a blockade or limited strikes. Another was a prolonged stalemate of heightened tension. Finally, diplomacy, back channels, negotiated elections, lifting sanctions, offered the only stable path to resolution. A future where the specter of warships on the horizon would finally recede.